with that,
Right,
Matt.
sorry, sorry, I was on the phone.
Sorry for
I
being
apologize.
sorry for being on time
Yes.
today.
Exactly.
Caught everyone off guard.
Well, such a shock. Because I was late and I missed your opening, I'll defer.
John?
Could I actually maybe switch to the Middle East
Yeah,
first?
of course.
The president's comments talking about Sunday as the goal for a ceasefire. What can you tell us about that? Is that a goal? Is that something that is actually maybe not a deadline, but something that you think is possible?
So our goal is to achieve a deal to reach a humanitarian pause and the release of hostages as soon as possible. Certainly, we would welcome getting one by this weekend. What I can say about the overall progress is that we made significant progress towards an agreement last week when we had officials from the United States government engaging in the region. We continue to pursue further progress this week. American officials across the government continue to be engaged on this question. We are trying to push this deal over the finish line. We do think it's possible. But as you've heard me say before, ultimately, some of this comes down to Hamas and whether Hamas is willing to agree to a deal that would provide significant benefits to the Palestinian people that they claim to represent.
Sure. I mean, you say that it's possible by the end of the weekend. And you mentioned the U.S. diplomacy. I mean, what needs to happen for that to take place? Are there actual talks that are going on actively with the U.S. side?
So I'm not going to negotiate in public, but there are talks that continue. American officials continue to engage on this and discuss it with our counterparts in the government of Israel as well as the governments of Qatar and Egypt, and we continue to push to try to get this deal over the finish line. We think it's possible. We think we can reach a deal, but ultimately we would need Hamas to say yes. We would need Hamas to agree to a deal that would allow for the release of hostages, which never should have been taken in the first place, that would allow for a temporary ceasefire and allow increased humanitarian assistance to come in. As I said, that is a deal that is not just in the interest of the hostages, obviously. It's not just in the interests of the government of Israel or the Israeli people. It is a deal that is in the interests of the Palestinian people. So we will continue to push for it because we think it's in the interest of all parties concerned.
And can I just one part of that? The president talked about a ceasefire, not necessarily a temporary ceasefire. I know the secretary himself has said that there needs to be a durable, I forget the exact phrasing, but durable solution. But is the goal for this weekend, or the goal for as soon as possible, an actual ceasefire, like a long-lasting ceasefire rather than a temporary?
So again, I'm not going to negotiate in public and talk about what the contours of a deal might look like, but we certainly are trying to reach a temporary ceasefire as part of this agreement that would allow us to get hostages out and would allow us to get humanitarian assistance. And we would like to see a temporary ceasefire go on long enough to allow all the hostages to get out. Again, without not talking about what the contours of any agreement might look like, we want to see a ceasefire go on for as long as it can to get all the hostages out. That said, and you've heard the secretary speak to this and heard the president speak to this, our ultimate goal is to end this war as soon as possible and end it in a way that ensures Israel's security and end it in a way that puts us on a path towards the establishment of an independent Palestinian state, and that's the diplomatic route that we continue to pursue.
Can I follow up on that, Matt? Do you foresee this ceasefire being in one continuous phase or in multiple phases? And would you expect female IDF soldiers to be released in an initial
Again,
phase?
I just don't want to talk about what the contours of an agreement might look like as we continue very sensitive negotiations.
And can you give us any more details on what's underpinning the president's optimism, given that partners in the region have kind of thrown cold water on the notion that this could be accomplished in the coming days?
What's underpinning the president's optimism is looking at the broad outlines of a deal that we have put in place through negotiations last week and negotiations that are continuing through this week, and the fact that he believes and we believe one is within reach. That said, to be clear, we don't have one yet. Hamas will need to agree to one, but we do think it's possible, and we're going to continue to push for it, and we want to see it happen as soon as possible.
And then one more unrelated to the hostages. Do you have any updates on the CHURG assessments that you mentioned are underway?
Only that it's ongoing as part of our regular work and normal processes. We're assessing facts and examining them as they develop, but I don't have any update on the outcomes of that review. Yeah.